Welcome to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island. Free-flowing talk with a charismatic, down-to-earth host. Join Dean as he interviews and chats freely with his guests, ranging from superstar athletes to politicians, industry titans, and everyday folk with fascinating life stories. Dean educates, entertains, and most of all, touches people's lives. You're listening to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dean Blechman Show. This is your host, Dean. I am proud and very honored today that in the studio, right now at this moment, fresh off the U.S. Open tennis tournament, is 16-year-old Patrick Kypson. Patrick, how are you today?
I'm good, Dean. Thank you for having me here.
Good. Thank you for coming. I know you've got a busy schedule ahead of you, and we've got a lot to talk about today, but 16 years old and fresh off the U.S. Open as a junior. Remarkable.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. It was my second U.S. Open. So it was, like I said, it was a great experience, and I hope to play many more.
Also in the studio with us is some family and someone associated with the show, Scott Morrell. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Dean, how you doing?
Good to have you here today, Scott.
It's great. It's my honor to be with Patrick. I've been watching him the last week, and I think I'm more tired than you are watching him play 5 tournaments in a row, and first having 2 qualifying tournaments, and then winning the next 3, and actually being in the quarterfinals after being out a little bit in the summertime, and being the top 8 in the juniors is a remarkable feat. Just very proud of him.
You know, at this point of your age, it's pretty incredible that at 16 years old, you've won your share of tournaments. Many of them, I could just keep going on the highlight, but what's very unique is that, in my conversations with Dad, that there are 2 ranking points in the ATP men's professional rankings that gives you a world ranking of somewhere around 1,620. I know that after the U.S. Open right now on the juniors, you're ranked worldwide number 79, if I'm correct. That what's just, I'm going to keep using the word remarkable. I mean, I've got a sister-in-law over in Freehold, New Jersey, that she tells me every time I use my adjective remarkable, she's going to have a drink. So she's going to have a lot of drinks from this show because you really are remarkable. I mean, many players today don't even get 1 point. I know that there have been, over the past year, there have been 2 nice articles written up where you're mentioned, where it talks about all this. So it's amazing what you've accomplished.
Well, thank you.
So, I'd like to know what it was like, when did it all start that you had an interest in playing tennis?
Yeah, I started when I was around 6 or 7. I had a next door neighbor that was also my age, around 7 years old, and he had just started to play tennis, and we were very good friends. So I said, I'm gonna come with you for a few lessons, and that just really grew into me loving the game. And by the time I was 10, I was playing, I'd say 4 or 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, and starting to play tournaments. And so I really enjoyed it from the beginning.
Wow. I know a little bit about this, what you're talking about. First of all, the platform of the Dean Blechman Show is we try to have shows with guests that just amplify tremendous inspiration, motivation, education, inspiration, motivation, just inspiring people and with great stories. And I know exactly what you personally, as well as your entire family, went through with, I can't imagine the personal sacrifices that have been made up to this point. To play tennis and to pick a sport, that there's so much pressure that goes on. And as kids are growing up, there are multiple sports that you probably wanted to play.
Right.
Dad expressed to me that hockey was one of them. That
Yeah,
you were
I also played hockey until I was about 10.
You were an unbelievable hockey player. So I know that in my own household, my son Jared was a terrific lacrosse player. Lacrosse was big here in New York, Long Island. And he played for the #1 school in the state, Ward Melville High School. So it was all lacrosse. So I could only imagine that at some point you had to stop playing hockey and you had to pick one sport.
Right.
And I can only imagine that dad, mom, I know exactly what they must have gone through with all these trips all over the country and maybe the world. Who knows? Maybe you could just share from that experience what it was like to devote yourself to the sport of tennis only, and that personal family sacrifice that took place with you and your parents.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I was playing tennis and hockey until I was about 10 years old, and it got to the point where I started to travel for both. So I had to pick one or the other, and I really enjoyed tennis, but I also liked hockey. But I had something just told me to choose tennis, and my parents never pushed me into playing or into making that decision. I made it all on my own, and I'm very thankful that I made that decision. So yeah.
Now, it's my understanding that at that young age and in Greenville, North Carolina, that you were, this courtside athletic club that you went to. There were fellow youngsters, Tommy Paul and Lauren Herring.
Right.
What was, those two very accomplished tennis players themselves. Sure. What was that experience like in your youth?
Yeah, growing up with Tommy and Lauren was great for me to see because, Tommy was a few years older than me. So he had done things, of course, that I wanted to be doing. So I really looked up to him when we were training and the way he did stuff. And also Lauren was a great role model for me. She was always very nice and very pleasant. So I really enjoyed learning from those two.
At that point in time, you began to really get state rankings and eventually a sectional ranking.
Yeah, it was from the beginning. It's tough to get ranked, and you got to play tournaments. And when you're young, you just want to have, you're really chasing the ranking and the points. And so yeah, I think I had a pretty good ranking in the state, and then I moved to the section. And my dad and my coach were very knowledgeable about what to do when tournaments to play. So I'm very thankful for that.
I mean, what was it like at that point to really win at the age of 8, a big major tournament win in the North Carolina Junior State Closed Boy 10 Championships?
Yeah, I'll always remember that tournament. It was I think it was my first big state win actually, and yeah, it was great. I remember like it was yesterday. My big party afterwards. I was only 8, but it was a really. I'll always remember it. I really enjoyed it.
Scott, could you imagine that? 8 years old and to win a big tournament in tennis at this point in any sport?
No, I was just trying to compete against my friends in billiards in my house.
Now, Patrick, at this point in your career, 8 years old, I've seen pictures. Good-looking guy. I mean, at this point, I don't know if the young ladies started to have an interest in you at this point. I know they do now.
Yeah, a little bit, but for me, the main thing is playing tennis, and with playing good tennis, other good things come. So, the first priority is always playing good tennis.
Well, maybe he's a little humble about this, but I was at one of the tournaments of the U.S. Open. It was, I think, the third tournament in the U.S. Open this year. And after Patrick won, there was a horde of very cute girls wanting to get his autograph on their tennis balls, and he took a lot of close pictures with these girls. So I think he's just being a little bit humble. But
you know what, Scott? I think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. His dad is extremely gracious and humbling as well.
It's a great family, absolutely.
So at this point, things were really starting to click and happen with tennis and your full devotion and commitment to the sport that homeschooling had to start.
Right.
What was that like? That next phase in your life?
Yeah, I started homeschooling, I think, when I was in the fourth grade. And for me, it was a very easy decision to make because I wanted to play tennis, of course, a lot, which I wouldn't be able to do in a regular school. I wanted to play more hours and train more and travel more. So clearly, regular school was not going to work out for me. I think it was a bigger sacrifice for my parents to realize what I wanted to do and to grant me that opportunity and let me start homeschooling. So yeah, I think it was a very big deal for my parents, and I'm very thankful for that.
So, Patrick, are you saying that you had to convince your parents rather than the other way around to go from regular school to homeschool and pursue this as a possible career?
For sure, yeah. I think my dad being a smart guy, my mom also, they want me to have a good education. So I really had to show them and to work and to prove to them that I really wanted to do this actually for a career at such a young age. So yeah, they made a big sacrifice by letting me choose to homeschool.
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah, that's a lot of confidence because, to make it big in sports, as you know, is very, very hard. There's very few that could really make it. Right. Someone could be good, but to get to greatness is a different story. So they must have really seen something in you, and the coaches that saw you at that young age during fourth or fifth grade that you went to homeschool, that said, I think it's worth a chance.
Yeah, I think my parents had heard about other athletes and the sacrifices that they made and that their families made. So I think they started to understand it a little bit, and they were convinced a little bit too by my coaches, who said, maybe he can be good. He has some potential. So yeah, but I think it was a very hard decision for them to make still.
Now, when you were homeschooled, I know recently I saw you in Florida in the past winter recess. I think you were there for 6 weeks at an academy playing tournaments. What was it like for the first year? Were you home and playing tournaments, or were you on the road? I know you were very young then. What was it like, and how difficult was it socially with a new group of people that you're going to be interacting with rather than your friends in school?
Right. Well, yeah, the place where I was training when I just started homeschooling was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was about an hour and a half away from where I live in Greenville. And so I was staying there with my grandparents 4 days a week, and I was training there 6-7 hours a day, just all on my own. They drop me off, they go to work, they come pick me up in the evening, and so yeah, like I said, that was another big sacrifice by my family, and yeah.
So when did you transition from being at home and then traveling to really focusing mainly on tennis and not being in the home that you grew up in? When did that change, and when did you had to make those adaptations with your friends? What age were you when that happened?
Yeah, when I left school, I was 8 years old, I'd say, and whatever fourth grade is, and yeah, I made so many new friends playing tennis though that it didn't bother me so much that I was missing normal activities in my home and in a schooling environment. So now, like, most of my friends are, I have friends from all over the world because I play tennis. So I think socially I'm still very connected because I have so many people that I know with everywhere. So it wasn't a big missed opportunity for me.
Patrick, I've got a couple of questions to ask you. I've got to go back to early childhood and picking tennis. As I said, Dad told me you were a terrific hockey player.
Yeah,
totally different sport. Physical. I mean, it's incredible when I see hockey players playing. The skating, the physical. Why didn't you choose hockey over tennis?
I think I really like both, but I excelled and I learned a little bit quicker in tennis, and also it helped that my best friend was playing tennis, so it kind of convinced me to play tennis more, and then I got better at it, and I was a little bit better than hockey in the beginning, so yeah, that's why I picked tennis.
Okay, when you were, let's say, around the period of time 7, 8 years old, what professional tennis players did you idolize? Who was there, one or a few that you idolized at this point in your life? And then I'm going to ask you now at 16 the same question: who do you not only idolize and respect the most, but at this point at 16, your style of play? Is there one player that your style of play and theirs resemble the most?
I think, when I was a kid growing up, I really idolized Rafael Nadal. Just, of course, tremendous player and tremendous talent. I really liked the way he played. Now kind of growing up and realizing more about the game, I think I play a little bit like Novak Djokovic. Skinny guys, but, muscular and strong, and have a good mind on the court. Good serve, move very well. So I think, I try to copy my game a little bit off of Djokovic, and yeah.
So, okay, so what do you see as the difference between a Rafael Nadal game and a Djokovic game? What do you see as the difference?
Nadal's a little bit more physical. He likes to play from very far behind the baseline, and he's always known as a clay court specialist. So that's the kind of the game style that he plays. He plays a clay court game, which is staying 6 feet behind the baseline and having long rallies and running and being very physical. Meanwhile, I think Djokovic is more of a hardcore player, and he stands up to the baseline, and he really goes for his shots and directs his shots and tries to play offensive. I think Nadal's done a good job of incorporating that into his game actually a little bit in the recent past. He steps up a little bit more and whatnot.
So, listen, I've seen you play, and I'm not an expert like a coach to analyze what your biggest strengths are. But if you were to look at yourself and be self-critical, what are your biggest strengths in the game of tennis? Is it the serve? Is it the baseline play? Is it the net?
I have a good serve. I have a good forehand. I'm quick. I'm physical. I'm strong. I'm getting stronger. And I think my biggest weakness is my mind. Actually, I'm very knowledgeable on the court. I know where to put the ball. I think to play tennis at a high level, you have to be very mentally strong and strategic. So I think that's one of my strong suits.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up with the strength of mind, because as a competitor, if you really take it seriously and you're really competitive, it got to be difficult when you make unforced errors or you're not playing up to your game, and you could be very hard on yourself, even though you know your talents, but you can be very hard on yourself. And there are people in golf that have, actually can't play the game anymore. We could talk about Tiger Woods. I mean, he was the best, and because of a series of mental or personal issues, forget about the knee, he just can't play the game anymore. And I just wonder, how much do you feel the mental stamina has to do with the game of tennis? I know it's a tremendous part of golf, but out of a scale of 1 to 10, what do you feel that where do you feel the mindset lies in that scale?
No, I think it's very high for sure. There's so many talented players out there, and they all have so much ability. Anyone can be anyone on any given day, but it's the guys that really connect with it upstairs and really believe, and they have the right mentality, and they stay calm, and they do everything right mentally. That those guys are the best. There's plenty of players, and 50 in the world that can beat Novak Djokovic, but they don't have the mental capability to stay with him for the whole match, and that's why he's number one, and they're not.
So that's what I thought, but it's fascinating. So the difference is really not the skill set, because once you're up there, you're up there. The real difference is the mental stamina. And how do you react after you lose a match? What do you do in the locker room? Are you distracted afterwards? Tell me what your thought process is.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the match that I just played. So if I lose to a player who in my mind I think I should be beating, then it's I take it pretty hard. I mean, I take every loss hard, but I think playing someone older and someone better and more experienced, I don't take it as hard if I compete well and I do everything I can to try and win. So I mean, I take them pretty equally, but yeah.
Yeah, because when I watched you play this year in the U.S. Open, I went to your last match, the quarterfinal match, and you were playing what I believe is the #1 Canadian junior player. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, he's number 2 in the world now as well.
Wow, unbelievable. So you kind of knew, although you always think you could win the game, but you kind of knew it was going to be an uphill battle. So did you look at this as an opportunity, almost like bonus, if you could have won that, or you knew you were playing someone who was better? I personally didn't see you make a lot of forced errors. I think you just went up against a brick wall. And I think that's the best way to lose, because you're playing someone who's better than you that could only make you better. So do you view that as a bonus game? You already got to the quarterfinals. You haven't been playing a lot in the summertime for other reasons. How did you feel about that after that loss?
Yeah, I was happy to be in the quarters, but still, going into every match, I try to believe as much as I can in my abilities, and before the match, I gave myself good chances, and mentally, I was very prepared to go and play, and I knew playing Felix was going to be very tough. We played last year, and he also beat me. He's very well. Anyone that knows tennis knows his name because of what he's done, and yeah, I knew it was going to be difficult, but I didn't think that if I played well, that I couldn't test him very well. So, but yeah, he played well, and it was too good on that day.
That's great.
I mean, Patrick, for you to be, for what you've accomplished up to, I still can't believe it, that 16 years old, it's unbelievable what you've accomplished at this point in your rankings. And listening to Scott and your conversation, I'm just alluding that I've got a little bit of a sports background and know a few athletes in the different sports. And I know how competitive, and when you get to this level, and even though it's the juniors right now, I know what it's like in different sports, that there's so much talent when you get to that level that I would assume you also have to have some good luck on your part as well, because I'm sure in tennis, some great talented tennis players that just aren't playing anymore or should have been ranked.
For sure. Yeah, there's so many. If you go to the Junior U.S. Open and you watch 64 of the best kids in the world play, then you watch and every single one can be very good one day. But for sure, you have to have some good luck on your side. You can get hurt, and get really really badly hurt. I know a couple of guys that they were #1 in the world in juniors, and then they throw out a knee, throw out a back, and they're out for 2 years, and they're never the same when they come back. So for sure, you got to have some good luck on your side. You can't do it without it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with a very good friend of mine of over 20 years, who I consider the greatest baseball player in the game of baseball during my lifetime. And he's a dear friend of mine and my family. His name's Barry Bonds. Just a great baseball player, and even better, a better friend and human being. But we've had lots of conversations over the years about different baseball players that just never made it to the major league level, because only a certain amount of people can just, in whatever sport it is, have to, besides talent, have to have some luck to reach that level of competition.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's there's so many good players, and you got to have the right things, and they got to fall into place at the right time. And there's really so few spots to take, in professional sports. It's not like there's new jobs opening up every year. It's very competitive, and you have to be very lucky and work hard, and things have to fall in the right place for you to achieve that.
So listen, you played in the big stage at 16 years of age in the Big Apple in New York City, Flushing Meadows, U.S. Open, tremendous crowds, the Super Bowl of your sport. I mean, if that's so incredible to get to that level, can you give me a hint how I get tickets to the U.S. Open, which is the most difficult event, sporting event to get to. So not only at 16 years of age did you make it to the big stage, but a stage where, as you know, Scott,
Absolutely.
it is what an event to get a ticket.
You got to know someone.
It's impossible.
I know. It is tough from what I hear, yeah.
You've got to really know someone. So another thing that I wanted to ask you is what do international players do better in terms of overall coaching and training than American tennis players? What can American tennis players learn from international players from all over the world? So
Right.
not just players, but coaching as well.
Yeah, there's for sure a difference in the styles and the different nationalities and the kids that compete with me. For instance, you take a Spanish player and he's obviously very, very adapted to playing on red clay and to grinding out points and to really developing the point structure. And then you take an American kid, similar to myself, and it's just a different style of play. But I think recently Americans have been doing very well. It's been one of the best years in, I'd say, a decade. There's a bunch of young Americans coming up, and they're all doing really well. So I'm trying to keep up with them and follow in their footsteps.
Scott, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. So depending on what nationality they are is reflective of the type of surfaces they're better apt in playing. Can I make the assumption that Americans are more used to playing on hard courts rather than clay? Okay.
For sure, yeah.
All right.
Of course, I like playing on clay. I like playing on grass. I like playing on everything. But I'd say for sure that Americans are the most comfortable on a hard court as to an Eastern European who mostly plays on red clay. So it's just a difference in nationalities and cultures.
Which one do you like? I know you have the most experience in hard court play. Is that the one you like the most?
I enjoy playing on every surface. I think playing on clay is a bigger challenge for me because, obviously there's not so many red clay courts in the United States. I really very, very, very few. So when we go to South America, for example, we go to Brazil or whatever, and we play kids from there. It's a even bigger challenge for us to play, and we have to rise to the occasion to stay with those kids there. But I play well on everything. I really enjoy playing on clay as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to play on clay. Again, I probably couldn't hit one of your returns, by the way. Truly, I couldn't get. I would have to have two hands on it and pray. But I remember clay. It deadens it a little bit. You have to hit it harder, and then it doesn't continue. And there's a lot of sliding.
Yeah.
How does that change the game? And are you more prone to injuries on one court rather than another court?
Like you said, of course, the sliding is a big thing on clay. That's another thing where European kids are very good at because they play on it, so they're very adapted to sliding and the movement on the clay court. As to Americans who maybe sometimes don't play as much, so they don't know, the footwork on the clay is different. So yeah, and but yeah, it's difficult sometimes.
How impactful are injuries? I know injuries are such a big thing, especially in Major League Baseball right now. I'm a diehard Met fan, and every single season it seems like they go down one after the other. How prevalent are injuries in tennis, and what has been your experience with your own self with injuries?
Yeah, it's like most sports. It can be very, very difficult if you get injured to try and come back. And with tennis, there's a lot of shoulder and knee and maybe foot, maybe some back problems. I've been lucky. Fortunately, I only had a little pain in the knees and nothing too serious really. So I've been quite fortunate with that part of the game.
What happened this summer? Were you out a little bit this season playing in the tournaments?
Yeah, I had a little thing in my left knee, which kept me out for a little bit, and yeah, but nothing too serious. I just had to take a few weeks off.
Okay, because I remember you told us before the show that you were actually rated number 1 in the ITF rankings for juniors last year in 2017.
2015.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I won the national championships last year,
yes.
and I won the 16 and under national championship in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and that's considered to be the biggest tournament in the United States for juniors. And so yeah, I was fortunate enough to win that, and then I became number one in the country in the 16s afterwards.
Wow. I can see you wearing a lot of Adidas stuff today. Adidas shorts, Adidas cap, and sweatshirt. I hope you're not offended I'm wearing Nike sneakers. I hope we're still good with each other today. Tell me about your endorsements and how is that going, and where you stand with that. It's kind of interesting.
For sure, yeah, it's really cool for me. I've been with Adidas since 4 years now. So they've sponsored me for 4 years, and they've really taken good care of me. So I'm grateful for that. And rackets, I'm now playing with Head rackets, and they've been sponsoring me for the past year. So they've also been a very big help for me, and I really appreciate it.
So what's the difference? Like, I know when you're in the NCAA and you're playing for college football, there is a rule that you're not allowed to take compensation. Is that similar before you turn 18? Maybe you just get compensated for goods and services like, apparel and all the rackets you ever want, or can you get compensation before you turn pro?
Yeah, you're not supposed to take more than $10,000 in prize money as well. But with the endorsements, what they do is you don't really sign ever any contracts or anything, because that can also mess with the NCAA stuff. So what they say is that you're basically borrowing the stuff, and they said that they can ask for it back at any time, as kind of to make the rules okay and to make it okay for you to have free stuff. So that's what they do.
Oh, interesting loophole.
Patrick, if we could get into a little bit of training and the coaching situation. I know that over the years, it's amazing. You've had a very long list of coaches, including Andy Roddick, Kent Kinnear, and Sylvain Guichard. Amazing. And that your current coach is Leo Azevedo?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct, yeah.
Amazing. And it's, from what I hear, one of my favorites of all time, that you started working with Ivan Lendl.
Correct.
Who is, one of my all-time favorites, an 8-time Grand Slam champion that played during the 1980s. So if you could maybe just share with the show's audience a little bit about how all these coaches came into play. I'm sure there was a tremendous amount of people that wanted to coach you. How you chose these list of coaches, how the great Ivan Lendl came into the picture to coaching you as well. And the second part is currently, day to day and week to week. What is a typical day or week training schedule as well?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've been picked up by the USTA, which is the tennis federation here in the States, and they really developed my game, since a young age. I'd say the first time I went there, I was around 11 or 12, and they have a staff of coaches there that are very, very knowledgeable. All the names you just listed are from the federation there in Boca Raton, Florida. So they all work for the federation, and the way it works is that each age group is assigned a coach. And so, for example, when we were 12 and 13, we were with Andy Roddick. When we were 14, we were with Sylvain Guichard, and just now recently in the past year, I've been working with Leo Azevedo. So they kind of do it by age group there, and but all the coaches there, phenomenal coaches. They're the best in the world, and just now recently, 10 months ago, we started working with Ivan Lendl. It's another deal with the federation where he kind of came in and he's helping about 6 or 7 of us youngsters develop and grow.
Scott, I'll send it over to you. That's remarkable.
It's unbelievable. And I want to follow up with that Ivan Lendl conversation that you just had. I remember that I was in Florida in, I believe it was February, March, when you were down in the academy. And I saw this is correct. I saw Ivan Lendl's mom watching you constantly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess she was reporting about you to Yvonne, right?
Yeah, she likes to watch all of us play. Actually, there's like I said, there's like 5 or 6 of us that train with Yvonne, and his mom's. We met his mom, and his mom actually I think knows quite a bit about tennis, so she likes to watch us and then give reports back to Yvonne. Yeah.
What would Yvonne do with that information?
Well, if we're doing something wrong or she sees something, maybe he can. He calls us quite frequently, and he's not afraid to reach out to us, and if we need help. So. If there was something wrong, then he would, reach out and try to fix that.
So it seems like you're making a lot of connections with a lot of the big stars. I was told, I didn't see it. I was not fortunate to be there during your practice sessions, but were you volleying with Andy Murray?
Yeah, I was. I had a practice session with Murray, about a week ago there in Flushing.
Were they soft volleys? I'm just curious. Were there ever?
No, he was trying 100%.
He was.
Yeah, in the practice, usually the pros they hit the ball even harder than they do in the matches because they want to find that range there. So it was pretty eye opening, and it was actually very difficult at first to get used to that ball that he was hitting because it's very hard and very flat. But
right.
But yeah, it was a tremendous experience for me.
How was his serve? Did you have to return to serve?
Yeah, we were playing points at the end and full out points and everything. So. His serve was obviously very good, but I actually hung with him pretty well.
You did,
yeah.
So you
I won a few points.
You did.
I aced him a couple of times.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's cool. One of the things that I've noticed about tennis for the last maybe decade at least, there's been a lack of American male stars in the tennis in professional tennis world, and you have all the criteria. How you started. You're tall, you're good looking, you're humble, and you have the talent. How much attention are you getting now from people that are really big in the tennis world, and looking at you as like the next? I'm trying to think of the last one. Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe. I think it goes back a long time.
Andy Roddick was good as well.
That's exactly right. And Sampras, right?
Yeah, Sampras as well.
It's been a long time.
It's been very long. Yeah, I think Andy Roddick won the U.S. Open in 2003. Maybe it's been a long time. But yeah, the better you do as a junior, you get more noticed. And but right now there's 7 or 8 Americans that are 18, 19 years old that are doing tremendous. You have, Taylor Fritz, who's, 55 in the world, and he's turning 19 in a month. So you have Tommy Paul, you have Francis Tiafoe, Kozlov, Jared Donaldson. So all those guys that are a few years older than me are making a big jump now. So, they're getting noticed. American tennis is getting noticed. And hopefully me and my generation, being 2 years younger, can follow up with that in the near future.
That's great.
So, Patrick, I have to ask you this question. Fastest serve you've ever served? What speed?
I serve, I'd say I serve like 115. I can get it up to 120 if I really hit it.
Wow. Fastest serve you've had to defend?
Oh, I played against a guy who serves maybe 135.
Wow.
God.
Wow. Scott, we should do a clip with you with Patrick, and
Yeah, right.
a little commercial that we could do viral for the show. Huh?
I thought you liked me, Dean. You want to embarrass me in front of the world?
Could you? I'm cavelling. I still can't believe.
And you're also schwitzing, by the way.
I'm schwitzing too, but I can't believe.
We like Yiddish in the show.
I can't believe that at this early stage of the Dean Blechman show, being only a month and a half old, we've had a 20-year-old and we've had a 19-year-old. That I can't believe that we've got 16-year-old Patrick sitting here.
It's amazing. I actually have an odd kind of question. You're a righty, right? That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your money hand, basically. This is going to sound odd. So, for instance, if you're opening up a can of tennis balls, do you hold the can in your right hand and you open up with your left hand so you don't get cut? Or let's say there's a fly. Do you take your hand from like the serve and hit the fly, or you do it like a short net? Do you and when you shake someone's hand, do you give a fist bump, or do you put your hands out not knowing what the strength of the handshake will be? How much do you think about this, or is this the oddest question you've ever heard?
No, my right hand is my money. That's what I play with. Sometimes I'm careful with it. Depends on the situation. I try not to to cut with my right hand. Like if I have a knife, I don't want to cut myself or whatever, because the right hand is very important. But everything else is pretty normal. I'll open a can of balls and I'll open it with my right hand. I'll take the top off and
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I'm really
You're not that oversensitive with that.
I'm not too sensitive about that.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about, I think it was around 2012, 2013. I think you started at that point to do some international competition and play. I think you went over to Canada, where you became a doubles champion in Canada.
Correct, yeah.
And then you participated in the 2013 World Junior Tennis Championships that took place in the Czech Republic, where you came basically one match shy of bringing home the gold, losing to Russia.
Yeah.
So you've been a member of the Junior Davis Cup team that participated in Madrid, Spain last year. You've competed in multiple tennis tournaments in Europe and South America as part of your experience with the International Tennis Federation, the junior circuit. I mean, that's amazing. What's this international experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's been super. Since I was 12, I was going. I think, like you said, my first time was in Canada, and then I started. I went to France and England to play some very prestigious tournaments when I was 13. And then of course, I had playing on the Junior Davis Cup team is probably my favorite, one of my best moments in my career. To play for your country and to play with two teammates is really a phenomenal experience. And we did real well there in Czech Republic. Like you said, we came up one match short, but yeah, it was a tremendous experience, and I really enjoy traveling and seeing all the different places and different cultures.
Which two things. First, the only thing I won this year was a Trivial Pursuit contest with my friends. So you're just a little bit ahead of me.
No, that's not the only thing you won. If you go back and listen to a few of our shows that are on the YouTube channel, you've won, as you know, our guests get treated to Sharon's Great Muffins.
That's true.
And you've guessed a lot of questions on the Dean Blechman show that's won you extra muffins.
Yeah, but that's a double-edged sword because that's good, Dean. But I've also gained 5 pounds,
Right.
So it's not a straight win. Going around the world, which country have you found most fascinating, and which culture intrigues you the most?
Yeah, I really enjoy Barcelona. Spain's very beautiful, and the cuisine there is good. I just really liked Barcelona a lot. I like France. I was in Nice, France. Another beautiful place. Beautiful. And I like Brazil. I was in Porto Alegre in Brazil, way down south near Uruguay. So I really like that as well. But yeah, I'd say those are my 3 favorite places.
Were you ever in Russia?
I have not been to Russia, no.
Okay.
I've been in Italy. I really enjoy Italy, Spain, Belgium, France, England. Yeah.
We actually have a European correspondent who lives 50 miles northwest of London. Her name is Ria Bow. And we just love, I know Dean has a fancy for the British accent. He just loves it. And I think that's why he chose Ria. But no, Ria, frankly, is just a brilliant person, and she adds a lot to the show. And, you've been to Great Britain. Do you like their humor? It's very, very dry.
Yeah, I like British people a lot.
Yeah.
Actually. They're always, they're funny and, constantly making jokes. So.
Exactly.
I have a lot of British friends, actually, tons of British friends, and we get along really well.
They don't seem to take themselves that seriously.
No, to me, I don't think so either, actually. They, they're always good at humor, like you said. And, yeah, I have so many British friends.
And also it's easy, last thing, it's easy to, go to another country and they speak the language. They just have a different accent. So so you're getting a bonus. Dean?
Scott, you were talking about Ria, and she does a terrific job as our lead European correspondent. I know that we can expect over the next couple of years, I'm sure that we'll see this young man, Patrick Gibson, in Wimbledon. That'll be a very...
Is that a field trip that you're taking us on?
That'll be a very appropriate time for us to make a trip. And
Absolutely.
You'll let Ria know that she'll make sure that she'll have accommodations for us when we come out to Wimbledon.
Absolutely.
Okay. So at this point, after all this international play and we move on, you now moved into the boys 16s national championship. And once again, what's remarkable is that the UST boys 16s national championships you competed in just after an emergency appendectomy.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah, well, I was like you said, I had an appendectomy, and I was in the hospital for 10 days. I was very sick, and, they said I couldn't play for about a month. And that was about a month later, when I hadn't played much tennis. Actually, I came back and I won the tournament. So I was pretty surprised, but I played really well. So I was happy with that.
That tournament earned you a wild card into the main draw of the Junior U.S. Open, which was your first Grand Slam event.
Correct.
You won your first match at that point and earned your first ATP point.
Yeah, it was. That's another reason why the Kalamazoo was huge, because it got me a wild card into the Junior Open, and or actually won my first match. So that was another incredible moment in my career to win your first Grand Slam match.
So to summarize where you are at this point in your career, and at this point, that's what gives you the 1,642 ranking today.
In the world.
In the world.
And that's the professional, but he's 79 in the juniors.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. What would be your one most important bit of advice for aspiring tennis players that are, in the fourth grade or, 8 to 10 years old? What would you give them? What would you tell them? What's the one thing they should focus on to get to where you are right now?
Yeah. Even where I am now, there's like a whole nother step to make it big. But I'd say, for the youngsters, you gotta really, of course, you gotta work hard, and you gotta really want it. Everything you do, you gotta do because you love it, and you gotta make a name out of yourself. So you gotta work hard.
Right. So it's not just natural abilities. A lot of people have that. So it's really the differentiator is really committing to this profession and mentally being strong and knowing how to deal with wins and losses, and a lot of psychology to do with that, right?
Yeah, if you wanna do it, you gotta do it 110%, and you gotta put everything that you have into it.
I think that's a great lesson, Dean.
Well, as we bring this close to the show, I just keep sitting here, and first of all, I'm thinking about that 115 mile per hour serve. I mean, that sounds like it's going against a pitcher throwing a baseball 95 miles per hour and trying to hit a baseball.
The racket would fly out of my hand.
So, listen, I want to really thank you very, very much for taking time from your busy schedule. You are a gracious, humble,
Well, thank you,
class act. This show, I just sit here, and it just emphasizes your career, your life. 16 years old, just inspiring, a strong commitment, sacrifices, perseverance. There's not too many people that at 16 have accomplished in any sport what you exemplify.
Well, thank you, Dean. I appreciate it.
And I've gotten to know not only your dad through some communication, I've gotten to know some other family members of your family. There's right here in the studio, Grandma, and your Uncle Billy, and you are truly blessed.
Well, thank you.
You've got a great family.
I know.
You're a terrific young man. I wish you nothing but the best of luck and success and good health. Anytime you don't want to stay with your family when you come into New York and you're playing at the Open, as you know, you're welcome to stay at my house.
Thank you.
I hope this is one of many shows that we do
For sure.
in the future. I'm going to give Scott a chance to make some closing remarks.
No,
as well.
I would ditto everything that Dean said. You are no, really. You're just remarkable what you've done and what you've accomplished. I know your parents are very proud of you, and the family is very proud of you. We not only expect, but we demand that when you're a pro, that you'll be back at the Dean Blechman show.
Of course, of course.
No, that's okay. We regardless of that, we all have very high hopes for you, and just wish you the best of luck in your future.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Dean, for having me.
So, in closing, my guest today has been 16-year-old Patrick Kypson, incredible rising tennis star. Just watch him over the next few years. It's going to be dramatic. Great tennis player, great human being, and watch him in the future. So I want to just say in closing, we want to hear from all our listeners. Can reach out to us with the free text number for U.S. residents. It's 631-372-8849. We'd love to hear from all of you. Include your name and location, and we will mention you on the show. Please don't forget to like us on Facebook and to hit the subscribe button on the show's YouTube channel. If you'd like to leave a comment, use the box below. If you'd like to share your story, ideas, and be a guest on the show, go to deanblechman.com and email me directly. I would like to thank all of my listeners today for being with us. Until next time, from all of us at the Dean Blechman Show, have a great day.
You've been listening to The Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island, New York. From all of us here, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We look forward to hearing your comments via Facebook, Twitter, Skype, and email. And don't forget, you can visit the webpage anytime for the up-and-coming guest list. From all of us here, have a good evening.